Hello, everyone. This is Howard Fox, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series, the podcast that celebrates individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Jill Lagan is our guest today. She is the CEO of the Boulder City Chamber of Commerce. Her areas of expertise include business promotion, event production, and government advocacy. Jill is also the fantastic host of the Best Damn Podcast, which is now in its third year of production. Jill, it's a pleasure to finally have you on an episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here. And thank you for being a brilliant business coach and helping us set up the Best Damn Podcast. It's because of you we're doing that. So we sure appreciate you and glad to be a part of what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much. And I appreciate the shout out there. And I have to say, as a podcaster, you are actually doing a fantastic job. I mean, everybody that I have run across that has heard episodes about the Best Damn Podcast are talking about how great a job you're doing. And I'm thinking if you ever wanted to give up being the CEO of the chamber, you've got a whole other career in broadcasting available to you.
Well, that would be awesome because I'm not sure that I'm really qualified to do that, but I do know that I love it. I've got quite a passion for it. It was something that as I had a lot of interest in and just kept thinking in the back of my mind, Lord, it'd be so cool to do that. And mainly because a couple of my mentors, so Peter Guzman from the Latin Chamber here in Las Vegas and Mary Beth Sewells from the Vegas Chamber, they both had already been doing something such as this. And I watched what they did and I saw the ability that they had to share information so readily about not only small business, but also the things that were important to their communities. And so I had very much wanted to do that. I'm very grateful that you just happened to cold call. And so it was one of those things that I said, you know what? I can't just keep putting this off and kicking the can. I really got to jump in because it's kind of scary. I mean, I know that many of your guests probably felt the same and expressed the same to me as well. That makes them a little bit nervous to have to know that they're being recorded and they're so worried about messing up. And so I love reassuring them that, hey, it's okay. We're going to do this and it's going to be fun. And like you have said, it's just like having a cup of coffee with a guest and you just get to sit and visit. And so I'm really excited to be here with you today. And this is going to be lots of fun.
Very good. Very good. And for our listeners, I have to say, Jill's office is in probably one of the two nicest offices I've ever been in because while her windows are backlit, she's kind of in a fishbowl. But when you look outside, there's this beautiful Lake Mead conservation area. And we'll talk a little bit about Lake Mead in a minute, but that's one heck of a view. Sarah Fangman, who is the superintendent of the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. I have to say it's a hard choice of who's number one and number two, but you're both right up there. So I was really, when you and I first met, I really enjoyed the fact that I get to come into your office so much. It's like, oh yeah, I'll be there. Because I wanted to see you and talk to you, but I wanted to view as well.
Yeah. Well, thanks. So I will say too that if you ever get the chance to visit the Catalina Chamber of Commerce, the Catalina Island, oh my gosh, what a beautiful location. They're right there on the dock. And so as guests arrive, they're right there at the visitor center and their Chamber of Commerce and have such an amazing opportunity right there. So there you go. That probably tops both of ours. It's the beautiful Catalina Island Chamber right on the ocean.
Well, I'll have to make a point of going up there. And I have to also share when I travel, and I had just gotten back from a workcation. I was a cruise to Alaska. I was podcasting from the ship, which was a key part of this effort. Those episodes will be up in short order. But I find myself when I go into towns that have a tourist orientation so people can discover, explore, unwind, that I look for the tourism associations, the chambers, and I kind of kick myself in the butt because I should have arranged for an interview with somebody in Juneau because that would have been pretty cool. I did
Oh,
chat with
yeah.
somebody while I was having breakfast. It's kind of like the Boulder Cafe type restaurant, and they had good
Yeah.
coffee too, which was important for me. But the idea that when you go into these towns, you really wanna check in with the local tourism association or the chamber and get a lay of the land. What's going on? What's of interest? And I just don't think, the average individual, somebody who goes traveling, they visit Las Vegas, Boulder City is just down the street from Las Vegas. They don't think about the chambers of commerce, and they are an important asset to the community. And your chamber is very much has a multifaceted view of what makes success in the community. And I kind of alluded to discover, explore, and unwind, which is your tagline in your podcast. But for our listeners, tell us a little bit more about the uniqueness of what the Boulder City Chamber of Commerce is bringing, not only to the community, but to folks who are visiting the Las Vegas Valley area.
So, kind of going back to your Juno comment, I do wish you had popped in there because I find it fascinating. I do, but of course, that's the line of work I'm in. So, of course, I seek those out. But I love going in and visiting with them and just understanding what are some of your challenges, but also tell me what are some of the things that make you great. And I love visiting with those individuals that are running and occupying those either welcome centers or CVBs, the Convention and Visitors Bureaus, and but most often chambers, because chambers they serve such a unique purpose. A lot of times in rural communities especially, you're going to have a situation where you've got a chamber that is going to be the one that runs all of the conventions slash event type activities that are taking place in that community. They're also the ones that are promoting the community businesses and making sure that there's connections, referrals, making sure that those businesses have all the information that they need from the government side, but also the municipality side, but also so that they understand what are the trends within business communities throughout the United States. I also want to make sure that they're often those different rural communities also have to represent the business interests with their local government. And so there's just a lot of hats that rural chambers tend to have to wear. It's always a little bit different. So in the Vegas Valley, we have the LVCVA, Las Vegas Visitors and Convention Authority. They're the ones that are really trying to reach out and bring those tourists to the community. And so we're really grateful for the partnership that we have with them because they've got the dollars to do that kind of thing, right? So you got to partner with them. But when it comes right down to representing those small businesses and making sure those small businesses have the ability to be visible and to be seen and to be connected, that's really where chambers fall into place and and do the best work. I am grateful to be on the board of directors for the Western Association of Chamber Executives. And WACE has always wanted to make sure that not only are they there to support the executive, to give them the professional development that they need, but also to make sure that we are able to all come together, connect, and then find out what are your pain points, what it keeps you up at night because of what's going on in your community. And then what are some of the things that you've done so well? What are best practices? I get some of the best ideas. I come back from convention every year and my staff is like, oh my gosh, please. Because I come back with this notebook full of stuff that we're going to do because I've heard such great ideas from other communities. So that network is so strong and so important to making sure that we're able to bring the right ideas and implement some new strategies within our communities. And so for us, tourism is such a big deal here in Boulder City. So the chamber here is really all about trying to continue to build that economic driver that we have here for tourism. And we're kind of known as the backyard to Las Vegas, right?
Mhm.
Outdoor adventure. So thank you for having that backdrop behind you today, because that's literally what I look out when I look out my window. And so I am really grateful that we have this amazing man-made lake that has brought so many guests over the years. You're talking about 6 to 8 million visitors a year to the Lake Mead National Recreation Area. And then, of course, why is the lake there? Because of Hoover Dam. And so an additional, many of those are some of the same guests, but around 6 million visitors to the Hoover Dam. And they want to come and see the Tim O'Callahan Bridge as well. That's such an important aspect because a lot of that bridge and that structure that is now over the Colorado River is so interesting and of such great significance, especially on the science side. So we see lots of tour groups that kind of advertise that STEM side of things, the science behind it, the engineering that's behind it. There's so much that's valuable there. It's not just come and see the beautiful creation that is taming that wild river, but it is also such an important value. What it represented back when it was built, the jobs that it created, the stability that it created for families. Many of those families that are still here in Boulder City today.
Sure. Now, for our listeners, and you had alluded to that the history of the community, the area, Hoover Dam, the lake. Your family has a very deep history within Boulder City, and I would love if you could share what that connection is.
So yes, so if you do any kind of research about Boulder City, many of the families that came here, the children that were here and the wives, the parents, they had to be really concerned about what their kids were doing because there was no air conditioning, right? So it's 117 outside. What are these children doing when they're just trying to stay in the shade and stay cool? And so the moms and the families that were here were so important, and what they represented was that strength and the true grit. But that was because of the sacrifice that their husbands and those that were working on building the dam, what they were actually doing on a daily basis. And so I am related to a family that was originally, he was a high scaler. At the time, he didn't even know, or he did not share and with his wife exactly what he did because it was so scary. But the high scalers were the ones that hung on pieces of wood attached with just rope. They would have the hard hat was actually developed for those that were building the Hoover Dam. And so they had their hats dipped in tar that were hardened so it would protect their head. And they were jamming dynamite in the side of this mountain, trying to blow it up and blow out the way to create the framework for where they built the dam. And so, yes, his family didn't even realize it, but Joe Kine, he was one of the high scalers. And currently, if you go to visit the dam, Hoover Dam area, you'll be able to see a bronze sculpture that was actually created and is a replica of Joe Kine hanging from the side of one of the walls, the Black
Oh,
Canyon area.
that is very cool. Now, and your was it father or grandfather that was a diver?
So my maternal grandfather was with the Bureau of Mines, and so he
Okay.
helped. He was down in the tunnels and wanted to make sure that obviously things were running smoothly down in that area. And then my granddaddy, my paternal grandfather, he came with the Coast Guard, and he actually was part. He had a float plane. They were testing float planes, but he was part of the group that were testing the seismic activity that was taking place on the pressures of the lake as it was rising, what that looked like, and making sure they were monitoring that. So, yes, and he was actually the first hard hat diver on Lake Mead. And so, for many generations, we had that original hard hat, and we were able to kind of talk about his legacy. And then from that, it turned into tours. So, I have a letter that he wrote to Congress in the creation of the Lake Mead National Recreation Area. He was very much one of the people who felt like that was a very valid next step. And then also was able to operate a couple different tour operations there and built up the Lake Mead Marina. And then my father, he was, sorry. So one of the things you're always supposed to tell your guests is to turn their phones off.
Turn their phones off. Yes.
And actually, I thought it was, so I apologize.
No worries.
As soon as this scam guy gets off, we can start again.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah, there's a lot of scams out there.
Oh my gosh, I a daily. Okay, so going back, I was taught well.
Yes. Laugh
Okay.
3 times.
So I was very grateful to have my dad then be able to kind of carry that legacy out. And he operated quite a few different concessions on Lake Mead. He had Overton Beach Resort. He had Black Canyon River Adventures. He was a river runner. And so I spent a lot of time at the lake. I have a huge appreciation for it and very, very grateful for our family history here in Boulder City.
Oh, that's fantastic. I just love the history, and what's unique for me to hear about Boulder City is so many of the folks that are guests on your podcast, the Best Damn Podcast, these folks have generations of connections here in Boulder City. There's a lot of people that come to the valley, and they want to make it their residence, perhaps start a business, and that's great. But I just find it really unique that the folks in Boulder City are very much multi generational. There's a history. Maybe they leave, but they also then come back because they realize this is a great place to live. I love that.
Oh, Howard, that is so true. I remember graduating from high school. I'm like, I can't wait to get out of here. And then as soon as I got married and had children, I can't wait to get back there. So you're exactly right. And it is multi-generational. For a long time, there were a group of individuals called the 31ers, and those were family members. And those that were actually here in 1931 when the dam was being built, they were part of the different families that were here working on building the dam and also the community. And so that 31ers concept, they would get together, they would have reunions every year. It was awesome. But then once had all passed on, that kind of legacy was, they still wanted to keep that legacy going. And so now if you've been here 31 years, you're considered a 31er. And so I'm a 31er now. So it's
Oh,
pretty
wow.
cool.
Congratulations on that. Congratulations. So, in your role and with your history with Boulder City and with the chamber, what are some of the favorite tasks besides being a guest on a podcast or hosting your own podcast? What are some of the favorite kinds of projects that you work on?
So I love watching a new business owner come in and sit at my desk and we brainstorm ideas. They've got a concept. They know that this is something that they have a passion for and they want to take it to the next level, but they don't know how to do it. Many people have no idea how to start a business. They're future entrepreneurs, but they just need that next step up on what to do. And
Mhm.
so thankfully we do have a phenomenal business and industry division here in the state of Nevada. They've created such a great roadmap for how to do that. So we always recommend that. We've got great partners that have done, I don't have to invent the wheel, it's already there. And so let's lean on those individuals that have that great information. So we share that with that individual. We also kind of talk about what's going on here in Boulder City. What's the economic climate? What is happening in the business core? What is happening in the historic district? We talk about what's going on and if this is the right time. And it's a difficult conversation sometimes when you have to say, I'm not sure that's really going to work. Are you sure the timing's right? Maybe we need to tweak this idea a bit. But by the time this all gets put into play and you actually have somebody that you are now at a ribbon cutting because they have done their homework, they've educated themselves, they've gotten to the point where it's going to be a really great opportunity for them to open this small business here in Boulder
Mhm.
City. That is so rewarding to me to see them be successful and then to have them have their first anniversary and second and be profitable. Those kinds of things, as far as I'm concerned, are the best part of being it with the Chamber of Commerce. I also love watching some of our guests come in that are traveling, especially international guests, that they fall in love with the desert. I love to go to forested areas. I love going to oceans. I have traveled all over the world and I truly appreciate that. But I have to tell you, desert landscapes, I mean, look at that background behind you. Look at all the different
Mhm.
colors, the depth of the different colors within the mountains. And when the sun sets, we have a straight shot. We can see directly to that beautiful sunset as it's either rising or setting. There are some colors that you just don't get anywhere else but in the desert. And so having those international guests come and see that and experience that for themselves, so many of them will say things like, oh, it's like the wild, wild west out here. They truly do get that experience in the wide open space of Nevada. And so that is another one of my favorite parts is being able to experience that through their eyes and to hear them fall in love with the beautiful deserts in the Southwest area, and especially here in Southern Nevada.
Excellent. And by the way, there's that sunset you were mentioning. There's the rail cars, and I forget the name of the business where you have to. Maybe it's maybe it's an electric, and I really don't have to do a lot of work. I discovered I was kind of out of shape last week in Alaska. That's a whole other story. But I survived, so I'm here chatting with you. But I want to be on one of those cars on the track
Rail bike.
during the sunset because
Oh,
I've heard
yes.
that's absolutely beautiful.
Yes, not only that, but even to be out on our tourism train, Southern Nevada Railway, it's unbelievable to be everybody loves a train anyway, but
Yes.
to really be on board, to be above those rails whether you're on one of the rail bikes or whether you're actually physically on one of the trains. It is just awesome. And then to be able to stay a little bit later, have the sunset and watch the lights in Vegas come up as you're sitting on one of the railroad bridges that goes over I-11. It's going to be such an amazing experience for many people who've just not witnessed that. And then to watch all those twinkly lights. So we're so lucky because of the location that we're at. We have access to the Vegas Valley within 20, 25 minutes, but yet we are so removed, a world away here in Boulder City, so that we still have that kind of a little bit more of that rural nature about us. And Boulder City is also very unique because we do have a controlled growth ordinance. And many people are like, oh, that must stymie you. That must be really frustrating. And it really is not. It's a unique factor that allows us to, very much like you talk about on the conservation idea, back in 1960, when the city of Boulder City emancipated from the federal government and actually became a city, a municipality, the idea in mind was they chose to not be a dry town anymore. They actually now we do have alcohol, but we still decided to keep and protect our resources and protect ourselves from the Vegas sprawl by simply having that controlled growth ordinance in place. And I'm so grateful that they did that because it really does it creates a kind of a factor, a feeling, a warmth. And not only are we a historic community, but it's very charming because we just don't have that constant turnover. And there's the ability for businesses to be successful in small places, and that uniqueness drives more people. It's created that destination, and one of the reasons why tourism thrives here in Boulder City.
And speaking of tourism, what are the opportunities that are developing now, or perhaps key ones that are already into fruition? What are some of those opportunities that are taking place in and around Boulder City?
Well, two of them are great state projects. And so the first one we kind of alluded to when we were talking about the rail bikes and the train. So the new museum they've always been a static outdoor display. They have just recently, well, actually within the last 6 years, legislative sessions are every 2 years here in the state of Nevada, we were able to help them secure funding so that they were able to build an actual beautiful indoor facility. And so we are in the throes of that as we speak. They're building the road to it. They're getting ready to do the parking lot. They will have a contractor here awarded shortly. And so we expect by 2026 to be doing that ribbon cutting at the new museum. It gives a great opportunity for the history of Boulder City to again be represented, because back in the day that they were building the dam, the actual train line ran straight behind you, right down to where the historic railroad tunnels are. They were taking not only people and workers, but also ore. They were bringing ore back. They were also taking supplies and tools and all of those kinds of things back and forth from the Vegas Valley into that Hoover Dam area. And so making sure that we remind people of the importance of what the rail did in helping to build that dam, that then, of course, allowed for all those jobs and all the different things that have happened because of that. There's so many. But we want to make sure that that story is told and that we educate people and the youth so they understand the value of that. And so that's going to become an amazing regional tourism opportunity. The second one is right here on property. The Chamber of Commerce is in the process of building out the Boulder City Adventure Center. This is a one-stop shop concept. The idea will be we'll have 16 different outdoor operators here on site that will have a small kiosk area, and that will actually be able to conduct business in. So people can go to that window. They can purchase the opportunity to to be able to go out and do whatever their activity is. So whether it's kayaking or electric bikes on some of our trails or a helicopter tour, any of those types of outdoor recreational opportunities that are here in Boulder City, they'll be able to participate with that. They'll be picked up here in this parking lot and taken to those activities. The other major component to this is that we will have buses that will bring them from the Strip, 4 or 5 different hotel properties on Strip. They'll bring them to the center to supply those different vendors with their guests. So
Oh,
that
wow.
it allows us to reduce that carbon footprint of those 16 operators that are now going into the hotel properties and have to drive that 30 minutes, 35 minutes every day back and forth, taking those guests to and from. By allowing the guests to be coming to them, it allows them to add an additional tour and reduce that carbon footprint, eliminate some of the expense of the maintenance of those shuttles. But it also allows us to now leverage. So if you're spending X amount of dollars marketing a helicopter tour, and then over here they're marketing a raft trip, now both of those are kind of playing off of each other. They're leveraging those dollars because now all of that's happening in one site. And so you come because you want to go for a helicopter tour, but you see across the way that you can also book a raft trip. It allows you to intensify and add to your experience while you're here. And so we see so much positive coming from this co op, this adventure hub. This center is going to also be another regional tourism opportunity. And here in the state of Nevada, we're always looking to diversify our tourism. And so by doing that, diversify the economy in general, but really that tourism aspect by having something other than being in a casino. We're adding to those people who had that casino already in mind. They're already staying there. This gives them something to do during the day before they go back to their show, their special dinner, and all of those activities.
I love when I come across acquaintances, friends who have been to Vegas and all they think about is the strip, the hotel, the restaurant, the shows. What's there to do besides that? And I say, well, just look around you. And I love now they get to have a reason to come to Boulder City and really take those next steps to explore and just see the nature that's all around them. And you're truly going to be a hub for that. What's the timeline for the Adventure Center?
We're hoping to be open by next summer.
Next summer. Okay. So just
Yeah.
a year away. Wow.
Yeah.
Excellent. And I imagine there's going to be a ribbon cutting for that one. So I want to be invited. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, that one, we've had quite a few elected officials as well. So let me share a little bit about how that actually took place. We had during COVID, we had the opportunity through the Nevada Outdoor Recreation Division. His name was Colin Robertson. He was then trying to find some interesting and innovative ways to bring outdoor recreation to the state of Nevada. He was able to learn a little bit more about the Economic Development Administration. They were looking to find ways that they could inject money into the recreation economy throughout the United States during COVID. And so there was the EDA had amazing grant opportunities. We met with some of the regional leaders here on the West Coast, and they loved the idea, the concept that we had. But unfortunately, it was kind of the money was announced in October and you had to have it spent by December. Well, that was just not something we were going to do. But we were so encouraged by the information, the comments that we got back, the feedback that we got from those leaders that it was not something that we were going to let die quietly, right? So
Right.
when more money came up again and that opportunity, we went out and applied again. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough money in my savings account. My piggy bank wasn't big enough. So we ended up needing to partner with the state of Nevada, and so grateful for Travel Nevada and the Nevada Commission on Tourism allowing us to be able to take this to the next level. And so by partnering with them, we were able to not only get a grant award from the EDA, but it also allowed us to think a little bit bigger. And so this concept it's just a really great concept. And it allowed us to do one in the South and one in the North. And so Carson City will have a sister adventure center. And so theirs is also tied directly with their train project there, and it's on property actually with their tourism train. And so we're really grateful to be able to do this in the North and the South, to now also make sure that we try to drive traffic through the entire state for this type of outdoor recreation, and to bring people to Nevada to see that there is more than just the casino, that's a fabulous opportunity. I don't want to downplay that because that's really the draw, right? But then while they're here, let's make sure that they leave having amazing experiences. And we can do that by showing them some of the great outdoor recreation within the state.
Okay. And speaking of the outdoor recreation, behind me on my banner and out your window, there's that beautiful Lake Mead. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this question. How is Lake Mead doing
Actually,
water wise?
we're on the rise.
Wow.
So we've had a couple great winters which 2 years ago was just amazing. And so we're really grateful for that snowpack in the Rocky Mountains. And so it gave us a bit of a reprieve. And we will go down from by the end of the summer just a little bit, but not as much as was drastically. You saw these images across the national news of tumbleweeds and the lake was going to dry up, and you saw the boat sticking straight up in the air that
Right.
had been underwater for so many years. And um, many of the stories were of dead bodies found in barrels, and it was the craziest thing. And I've always said you can turn negatives into positives. And so we were able to share a lot of great information about Boulder City and some of the recreation that could still take place within the Lake Mead National Recreation Area, even if it got to Deadpool. Deadpool became like this big word, right? I think we kind of helped the movie because everybody was talking about Deadpool. And so at that point, we really try to communicate that recreational opportunities still take place on the lake, even if it had gotten to that point. And so it was thanks to some of our elected leaders, and I really want to make sure that we give Congresswoman Dina Titus a shout out and Senator Jackie Rosen. They both were very instrumental in making sure that we were able to protect the ability to still use Lake Mead as a recreational site, to be able to find ways and access to that, whether it was launch ramps, how we devised that
Mhm.
funding to make sure that we could keep those launch ramps open, and so it is still allowed for that recreational opportunity. And so we definitely want to never forget that that is also our water supply for the South, for Southern Nevada here. And so that's very important too. We want to protect it, but we were very grateful noting that the conservation efforts and those that were representing those interests had even made the statement that there is no reason to not have recreational use of Lake Mead, even at that lower level. We're very grateful that we never got to that lower level, but we're also really grateful that we had all the assistance that we had. Mike Goutier, the National Park
Mhm.
Superintendent for us here at Lake Mead National Recreation Area, phenomenal. I mean, I can't say enough about this gentleman. He brought such energy and really his expertise and really fought for us. He's such a champion for this area. And so another great reason why you still have that beautiful lake in the back. Not that he has any control over Mother Nature, but he definitely knew what to do when we were in a crisis.
Excellent. And you had Mike on the Best Damn podcast as a guest.
I sure did. And he was an excellent guest. He probably could go into broadcasting himself.
There you go. Now, you've also had some other guests from a nature tourism direction, and I remember there was Ashley Pipkin who was on talking about the helping to make Boulder City more dark sky friendly. And
Yeah.
so I'm interested in folks like Ashley that you've interviewed and some other initiatives where it's just continuing to create excitement and opportunity for tourism to continue to build. And as a, assuming that my cough is better, I'm going to go out to Nelson's Landing tonight and take pictures. So I'm
Oh,
excited, but I'm wondering what other opportunities are there to take advantage of the Dark Sky Initiative and for people to come here and could find new ways to explore and bring their tourist dollars and enjoy themselves.
we don't talk about stewardship enough, right? So when you talk about stewardship, what does it mean to respect, protect, and want to educate people about the resources that you have in your communities? And Ashley she is just such a champion for that kind of activity. So she's a biologist. She works for the National Park Service here at the Lake Mead National Recreation Area. And so she approached me with this idea that she really wanted to have a better understanding of what we could do and how do we partner here in our community. How do we talk about, yes, we want the tourism, but we want to also make sure that we educate them on how to be respectful of all the things that they're doing. And so we worked on a couple different collaboratives, but again, going back to Colin Robertson, when he was the the director of outdoor recreation for the state of Nevada, he also added to that EDA request, and we were able to get a $1.9 million grant to be able to retrofit all of the cities, all of the city of Boulder cities lighting fixtures. We are in the process of retrofitting all of those light fixtures to dark sky friendly lighting. So whether it's a new LED that's dimmable, directional, all of those kinds of things. Ashley opened all of our eyes to what that looks like, what that could be, and the improvement that it could be, not only to the individuals that live here, but to those that want to come for tourism, dark sky viewing, but also for the animals that live in the area, for just trying to be good stewards of our lands. And so I loved having Ashley on the show. She was so knowledgeable. She's a little firecracker. We really enjoyed her. And so I recently had the opportunity to visit with her and kind of get an update on where she's at. And she's a mom for the second time, and we're really proud of all that she does, and so grateful that she lives in our community. She's a real asset. But yes, dark sky friendly viewing areas are going to be, especially in the state of Nevada. We have so many great places like
Right.
Great Basin, all of the dark skies areas, and such an initiative. Our legislative body 2 sessions ago really made sure that that was something that they paid attention to and found funding for, and has been a huge addition to the Travel Nevada's, some of their different marketing initiatives, because we do know that there's a tourism element there and people do come to be able to participate in that and see what goes on in our communities after dark. And so the after park to park after dark is another one of those great marketing tools. And they do some great things going to all the different state parks and national parks throughout the state of Nevada, viewing those. But I also just feel like it's just I'm a good citizen to think about how I'm impacting that. What do I do at my own home? What are we doing here at the Adventure Center? Making sure that we are also considering what that looks like, trying to be good neighbors.
Sure. And you're speaking about, again, like you just said, stewardship. It's taking care of your home and and caring about the community as well. As far as the podcast, the Best Damn Podcast, you're 3 years in now. How do you feel about this adventure?
Oh my gosh, it is so fun. It's so fun getting to hear a little bit more about some of the people in our community, doing a little bit of a deeper dive. As you know, you helped me put the questionnaire together, asking people, what was your first job? How did you get started? What drove this entrepreneurial spirit within you? And so finding out about that, finding out what's something that your mom or dad taught you that is a lasting legacy you are now using that to facilitate and do what you do and do it so well. And it's created a successful you. And I love learning about that kind of stuff. We're asking them, what book are you reading right now? Oh my gosh, the insights into what people, who and what they are when you ask them what book they're reading. It's incredible. That kind of stuff, connecting with people on a one-on-one level like that in a booth. I mean, I'm not in the booth today. Obviously, we're in our office, but to be able to go in that sound booth at I Studios and be able to connect with somebody that intensely. Love it. It is energizing. I leave there every recording session going, man, that was so cool, because you really do feel the vibe of that other person. But not only that, but then being able to share that information so that others can learn more about what it is they do, whether it is specifically about their business, like the one that will be released this coming week from Poseidon Pools and Heather
Mhm.
Sage. She was intensely interesting. I had no idea all the different types of pools and types of equipment and the things that you can do to treat the water and freshwater systems, which I'm now going to convert to at some point in time. And so all of those different activities. And here's an interesting thought. I never even really thought about the fact that your swimming pool could really be your water storage. So if you ever had any major incidents, having a freshwater pool and the access to that being water storage, I thought, dang, I mean, that was like this light went on, and I go home and now my husband is getting a little bit frustrated with all these great ideas that I keep having because it's costing him a lot of dollars. But these guests are just inspiring. I think they have something to say that they need to share with others. They may often not have that platform to do it. This provides them that platform. And it's just a great way for the chamber to communicate their value by sharing what other people have to offer and connecting our chamber investors with the people who need to know more about them. And so I thank you so much. You have added so much to my life for sure.
Well, we appreciate that. And again, I love what you just shared. That's a gift because you are definitely providing the business case for why podcasts are important and how nonprofit entities like the Chamber of Commerce can have value from them. Now, there are small communities like Mesquite or Laughlin. Maybe they can't support it, but that doesn't mean there's no regional aspect for people to come on and share their story of what's going on in their communities. And as you said, too, is that these local chambers, the local communities, they need to be creative in how they attract people to come and discover, explore, as well.
Well, early in the interview, we were talking about the importance and the value of welcome centers. And so we do operate the Nevada State Welcome Center as well as the Boulder City Chamber of Commerce. And I never really thought about it till we moved in here in 2019, July 17th, 2019, one of the
Wow.
hottest days of that year, just FYI. Try moving into a new building. That was crazy. But in the process of doing all of that, I really understood more of the value of welcome centers. And I realize a lot of people are saying, oh, paper brochures have gone the way of the times and technology has taken over. And we do have digital kiosks and we have digital everything. And grateful for all of that. But there's still that component that they love to come in, they love to connect, they want people to tell them about what there is to do in this community. They want that recommendation, they want to hear from somebody else. They don't want to just look at their screen or their 3-inch phone and have that be somehow conveyed to them the importance and the value. That feeling, that connection doesn't take place until they come in the center and actually have a restroom to be able to relax and be able to know that they can take care of things that they need to take care of, but also come in here and be educated, to be moved, to be able to kind of feel that connection with why they want to go and check these things out. And so I still believe that human element really cannot be replaced. And I'm so very grateful that there are those that really see the value of that. We want to make sure that we hook them, that we give them the information on the digital side when they're planning, but we want to invite them to come in and have that one-on-one experience because it truly is valuable. And in my opinion, it's why I tour a lot of the different places that I go to in small communities because I want to hear from the local what they think is of my time, my value of my time.
Excellent. And I think I may will take advantage of that mindset as well as I do my travels too. I want to shift gears just a little bit, talk about Jill Lagan. You mentioned Barry. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Barry a little bit. You have two lovely children. Talk a little bit about them and who, because you are a presence in this community, and you're you're very proud, and you talk about the kids all the time, or Barry all the time.
So one of the things that people may or may not know, I mean, maybe locally they probably all know, but I am the proud mom of a two-time Olympian who happens to be today in Germany representing the United States. She is preparing to head to the Olympics where we'll be in Paris for the opening ceremonies, July 26th. And we're very excited. She is a women's air pistol shooter. And so she'll be representing the United States, number one in the nation and 12th in the world. And so we're excited for her to be able to represent the country and also do something that she's passionate about and loves. And so we're excited to get to go and support her in that because we did not get to go to Tokyo due to COVID. So she had a very interesting experience as a first time Olympian and was highly encouraged by those athletes that had already been to an Olympics. You got to go, you got to come back and make sure that you get to see what a real Olympics looks like. So she's excited to see what that looks like. She is phenomenal and we're proud of her. And then her name is Lexi Lagan. So if you want to go to teamlagan.com, you can check her out. And then my other daughter, Abby, she is amazing. She is actually my father-in-law's caregiver. And so she's doing great things and making sure that he's safe. And she's pretty amazing.
I really appreciate you sharing because I know in the events that are run throughout the community, especially Spring Jam, which just happened a few weeks back. And I remember the first year, Lexi was there, your young one was there, and and you've got Barry roaming around doing stuff while you're doing stuff. It was just an amazing experience. And because I've always been a visitor to these events, but here's the family, they're having fun, they're working together, supporting each other, which I truly love. Which
Yes, I'll agree to the supporting each other, but I'm not sure they were having fun. Don't interview them. You might get a totally different story. Let's just leave it at that.
we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. Before we head out today, Jill, there's a couple of features that I'd like to share on the Outdoor Adventure Series. One of them is called the aha moment. And so this is our guest opportunity to share about their life, their journey. When did they realize, wow, I'm making a difference? Or I love doing this work and I can't think about doing anything else, what's been your aha moment?
So I've had so many, but when you really kind of drill it down to helping that individual, so just the one, helping just the one makes all the difference in the world. And so, what does that look like? Whether it's helping them connect to an elected official because they've got a real issue, or helping them find their way through starting up a business. Some of those are aha moments for me every single day. But I think it was when I realized the importance and the impact that a chamber can have, not only in a rural community, a small community, but the voice that they can be for business is so important. And making sure that you are part of that, and whether it's contributing in some aspect, maybe you donate to a chamber, maybe you are part of their investment structure, so that you pay dues, which is what is traditionally called. There's so much value in the voice that the chamber is for that individual business and for the community. And so that's kind of my aha moment, is understanding the value and the power and the relevancy that chambers have in our communities, to make sure that they are there to be the voice of not only representing government with the business to government, representing the business to the tourists and the guests that's coming, but also making sure that they're there to assist and be a support to those individual business owners. So I'm very grateful for just having that aha moment of the power of what a chamber can be.
Excellent. And you've also, it's very clear this chamber, Boulder City, has variety of target audiences. It's the folks that want to come in and become residents, the business owner, as well as the tourists. And it also speaks to the relevance of chambers today, especially ones like Boulder City. One last feature is called the Insight to Go. It's a final quote, an idea, a thought, a book that you would like to share with our listeners, just as a gift to them about, this is what's on my mind. This is a piece of advice.
So my favorite book is The Gap in the Game by Ben Hardy. I find it fascinating. I love it. It was empowering. And so just making sure that you're living in the difference between where you thought you should have achieved and what you've actually achieved, and measuring that gap. Measure the success. Don't look back at where you didn't accomplish. So measuring that success is so extremely important and very valuable, and always making sure that it propels you forward in trying to do better and to do something even more and to do something even better the next day.
I love that. And thank you so much for that gift as well. If our listeners would like to learn more about you and the chamber, where are the best places to go?
BoulderCityChamber.com. And they can also find and listen to the Best Damn podcast on all of the platforms that you can listen to podcasts on.
I love it. Jill, it's been a pleasure to have you join me on the Outdoor Adventure Series. I am incredibly grateful that we have crossed paths, and I get to be a part of your life, Boulder City Chamber, the community, and it's been an absolute pleasure. And I look forward to continuing on that journey with you. And again, very appreciative that you've joined me on my podcast today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You are quite remarkable, and we're glad that you were friends.
Fantastic. Listen, stay in the line. We're going to do a real quick close, and you and I can have a final chat. All right, folks, we have just been listening to the wonderful Jill Lagan, the CEO of the Boulder City Chamber of Commerce. She is the host of the Best Damn podcast. Really a very broad canvas threads of what's going on in Boulder City, the power and the importance of the chamber, the activities, whether it's tourism in town, the restaurants, the hotels, the conservation, as well as all of the tourism that is available in and around the Las Vegas Valley, and specifically in Boulder City. And really want to encourage you to get to know more about this wonderful community. So if Las Vegas is on your itinerary in the near future, you have to make sure you come out here and visit Boulder City. And a year from now, we're going to have the Boulder City Adventure Center, and that's going to open up a lot of other tourism opportunities for you, which we encourage you to take advantage of. Now, as Jill had invited you, visit their website at bouldercitychamber.com, and you can also look for the Best Damn Podcast on their website, bestdampodcast.net, or if you search on your favorite podcast directory, the Best Damn Podcast, you will find a wonderful library of episodes. And I should know the number we're up to. I think it's in the 70 range. I should know that, but just a wonderful way to get to know Boulder City, whether it's the people, the businesses, the community action, as well as the tourism. So do take care of that. As for us, you can find the Outdoor Adventure Series on our website, outdooradventureseries.com. We are also on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube. And you can also find us wherever you get your podcast from by just searching for the Outdoor Adventure Series. Okay, folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there and have a phenomenal day. And we look forward to having you join us on a future episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care now.